Hey everyone, this is Martin. Shelley is behind the camera today.
Hi.
And we are working on the next step of getting power into the cabin. And I'm going to explain just a little bit about what we're doing here to give us the most flexibility that we possibly can have. As I mentioned before, we're not completely 100% off-grid here. Just because we have a lot of large tools and equipment that require a lot of electricity that really our solar plant won't keep up with. So I don't mind having that, but at the same time I want to be as off-grid and independent as we possibly can. And so the cabin is mainly going to be powered with our solar panels and the inverter and generator and things like that. This, however, is going to be what feeds some of the on-grid power to the place here, and mostly to the cabin and some of the smaller workshop area. And what this is a 100 amp box. We do have a meter outside that comes into this, and we are isolating specific circuits that only are fed by this. And those are going to be some of the tools. Also going to be some of the heavier amperage appliances in the cabin, like the dryer, the laundry dryer, possibly the water heater will go on there, and and that's about it. We will have some emergency circuits, like 2 circuits that come off of this into the cabin that we're going to have marked with different color outlets than the main cabin, so that if we do want to plug anything in to power just from the regular grid power, we'll know that those plug-ins and those lights are indicated by, I think we're going to use tan outlets and switches for the grid power, and white for everything else in there that's going to run off the solar. So that's just a little bit of an indication of how we're trying to think ahead a little bit on our power consumption here and make it so that it's as independent as we possibly can. Completely independent if we absolutely have to, and then but also have the option of pulling some grid power when we feel like we need to. So anyway, that's what we're doing right now. We're getting ready to install this. If you want to kind of see what we're doing here, this is just a connection from the main meter box out here to this panel right here, and everything is dead right now, of course. Otherwise, possibly I would be dead right now. But as soon as I get the main part of this connected, we'll go ahead and make it live out of the meter. So as of right now, our homeless challenge is actually past the deadline, and we're living on the property. So we did not become completely homeless, but we did have to move on here with not everything hooked up and running. We've had electricity since we got here through the solar plant, and we actually got water hooked up the day that we got here, and that made it necessary to go ahead and hook up the toilet and the bathroom. And so we've had some amenities since we've been here, but mostly it's been camping. We're sort of on the perpetual camp out right now.
Yeah, it's just the toilet. There's no running water in there yet.
Well, the toilet has running water.
That's the only running water is in the toilet. Yeah.
There is water in there, though. All we have to do is just connect it to things, which we'll probably be doing some of that later today. Oh, there's one of these things.
Okay, you want to explain what this side is?
Well, this is the neutral lug where the neutral wire goes, and for both the main and all of the...
What is neutral lug?
Neutral, well, the lug that's the lug, and it's where the neutral wires come in. Okay. And that's still too big.
And these other 2 are hot wires?
Those other 2 are hot. They're feeding the panel.
So let me ask you, why is there 2 hot wires?
The 2 hot wires.
Why are they separated?
Create 220 volts.
Why are they separated?
Well, because they have to be separated to get 220 most AC electric in your home is 110 volts. So only really when it runs off of one of these and a neutral. But when you have 220, like the laundry dryer will be a 220 dryer. We're not going to have an electric stove, but if we did have an electric stove in there, that would be 220. The water heater is 220, and various appliances are 220 volts. When you have that, you need a double breaker. Like these are all double breakers or 2-pole breakers, where you have 110 volts on one on each side. And so when you combine them, that gives you 220 volts of power, and that's what comes into the box. That's what will feed out of the box in these 220 breakers, and these are all 110 breakers here. So these will go to the regular circuits like outlets and lights and refrigerator and different things that only operate off of 110 volts. And you may ask, am I an electrician? And no, I'm not. But I grew up with my dad. He made me wire most of the houses that he built when I was like 13 or 14 years old. So he kind of taught me how to do all of this. And then after that, when I was in high school, I took an electrical class to kind of fill in the gaps of the things that I didn't know from Dad. And so I've been doing wiring for years and years and years, and actually had a case where I had to have a professional licensed electrician do some wiring for me at one of my cabins, and with some explosion-proof parts. And of all of the things, of all the 20 or 30 cabins that I wired up in that town, at our resorts and our cabin rentals, the only thing that ever failed was that one thing that we had the master mechanic or the master electrician wire up. And so I've had a pretty good track record with wiring.
And that wasn't due to your fault.
No, it wasn't. It was his wiring that made it fry out. So anyway, so that's where we're at right now. Is this thing is now wired up. I can go out to the main panel and connect it up, and we'll be live to right here. If I want to work from here on out, I can flip this to the off position, and then I can work on these while I'll be dead until I'm ready to flip the main back on. Anyway, that's it.
Okay.
Subscribe, follow, hit the notification bell, and see what the next step of the journey is.